Rosie, psychic investigator. I'm Rosie, psychic investigator. 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 Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosie, psychic investigator. Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosie, psychic investigator. So, guys, long time no see. I've been so busy. I'm seriously so busy. I have not had time to do videos on YouTube. Seriously, sorry about that. So trying to, it's been a long time since I've done these kind of videos without just hanging out. So no, seriously. So this is just an introduction, okay? This is an introduction to a video done by Victoria. Victoria is an astrologer based in Chicago, Illinois, based in Chicago, Illinois. Victoria is an astrologer from Chicago, Illinois. Victoria is an astrologer from Chicago, Illinois. So guys, seriously, okay? So Victoria, she was a long-term supporter, and she's also on my channel, my other Patreon channel. So several months ago, she sent me this video. Well, actually, no, let me backtrack a little. She was always telling me, sending me messages saying that Trump was gonna go down because of his tax stuff, okay? And so I said, I don't know anything about astrology. I really don't. I listen to people, but I don't know anything, and I don't pretend to know. So I said, why don't you send me, if she was so sure about it, she was always telling me about it. So I said, send me an audio and so of this, and I'll put it together as a video. So she sent me several months ago, and guys, I never published it because so much stuff, stuff starts happening, and I didn't get a chance to kind of edit the video and all that. So then the stuff of Jeffrey Epstein is coming up again. And in several very recent readings, guys, I've done, and I'm gonna make it public. But first, I wanted to share this video from Victoria because it's from a couple months ago, and she talks about how Trump is likely going to be undone by his like weird sex stuff. Okay, so it's very relevant. Okay, to conversations. Oh. No, seriously, okay? So I'm chatting. Okay? So it's short. And then soon, guys, as soon as I get a chance to the next video, I'm going to add parts of other videos I've done, because I've done some recently very long videos about how Trump, it really shows, guys, that this stuff is going to explode about the women. It hasn't yet, but stuff is going to show that he's involved in this and that he makes money from human trafficking. And so Victoria, she does something a little bit different, which is astrology, but she sees this as well, which is really interesting for Americans. No, interesting. Yeah. Oh, interesting, no? So seriously, guys, so soon I'm coming back, okay? Just because I need to edit the videos. I haven't had a chance, but just so you know, I'm just having this information, and it's possible that she's gonna, well, she has a moment. She and I are gonna have conversations. Maybe she's gonna do an update, so it'll be interesting. So she and I together have conversations about it. Yeah. Okay? Alright, so see you later. Alligators. See you later. Alligators. See you later. Alligators. See you later. Alligators. Okay? Bye.
Hello, this is Victoria. I'm an astrologer, and I have been corresponding with Rosie for a bit, commenting on her excellent live streams and YouTube videos. And recently we had a short exchange about her live stream on the subject of Robert Kraft and Jeffrey Epstein and the sex trade and slavery / prostitution ring. And I tantalizingly said something along the lines of, well, it doesn't surprise me that's happening right now because Venus and Pluto are together, and that can mean, excuse me, that can mean creepy sex stuff. So she wrote me back and she said, creepy sex stuff. Okay, would you be interested in explaining that to the viewers, what that means in terms of astrology, and what we might be able to expect possibly in the future, because astrology can be very good with timing the course of events. So without further ado, I will do my best. For those of you who already know astrology, forgive my very basic definition of terms, but first of all, the two planets involved are Venus and Pluto. Venus symbolizes love, desire, the law of attraction, money, and finances. So it can signal various types of behaviors, anything along the lines of wanting to give your loved one the moon and the stars and the sun because you care for them so deeply, to things like trying to purchase their affections. A rather benign continuum of behavior in general. Venus is considered to be quite a good planet. Pluto, on the other hand, is much more complex and much more difficult. It symbolizes intense sexual chemistry, sexuality in general, survival instincts, power games, manipulation, the underworld, corruption, taboo behavior, and death and rebirth. So as you can tell from what I've listed in terms of what Pluto can symbolize in a chart, that the types of behavior are going to be much more extreme. So Pluto can create circumstances in which you are in an obsessive relationship, which results in psychological transformation, because you work through the challenges in the relationship in order to evolve and grow. And in that way, it can be quite positive, although at the time you're going through it probably doesn't feel that way. And then along the continuum, it can go toward sort of dangerous or threatening relationships, or at the very minimum, relationships in which people try to dominate you, control your life. These people may try to engage your survival instincts, and also make you question how much power you have in the situation. At its worst, Pluto can mean the experience of rape, abuse, whether it be physical abuse, sexual abuse, sometimes incest, or other crimes of power at the hands of those who are embody the dark side. You know, as Yoda and company would say, the dark side of the Force. So when these two planets come together, frankly, when Pluto comes together with any planet, it intensifies it. It makes it much more powerful, much more complex. When Venus and Pluto come together, it indicates matters associated with prostitution, can involve things like the sex slavery scandal involving Robert Kraft, also victims challenging the power of the perpetrator, as has happened in the Epstein case, also the powers that be trying to minimize the responsibility and the elements of the crimes associated with the assaults, like Acosta may have done, as well as things like payoffs or any financial remuneration related to these activities. So if one has benefited financially from the sex trade, from payoffs, and here you start to get into possible areas in which Trump might be implicated. So as you can see, you're starting to get into the creepy sex stuff. Also, recently we've had stories about alleged sexual assault of these poor children that have been detained at the border, and may very well have more women coming out to suggest that Trump tried to assault them. So why am I talking about this right now? Well, in astrology, the way we do timing is we look at what degrees the planets are in. Now, Venus and Pluto are right next to each other as we speak at about 22 degrees Capricorn. And that's particularly strong right now as I speak, from about February 21st to February 26th or so, and then it starts to minimize a little more. Now, that is not to suggest that things like sexual assault or rape or power games ever go away entirely. It's not like the moment that Venus-Pluto ends, you don't have that anymore. It's just that those things are brought to public attention or brought into focus for the collective at the times that these matters come to fruition at the same degree. So, and why is this potentially affecting Trump, you might ask? Well, I did send along to Rosie the graphics for Trump's chart. For those of you who know how to read a chart, this will be easy to see. I've also given her a zoom in on the area which is in question. Trump is about to have an exact Pluto contact to his Venus and Saturn, which exist at about 23 to 25 degrees. In his chart, Venus and Saturn are exactly together in the opposite sign to Capricorn, which is Cancer. And so anytime that a planet makes a dynamic same degree connection, it activates it. Okay, so what does that again mean for Trump? It means that it brings to the fore the difficulties, the weaknesses, the challenges involved with those planets. So what does Pluto do? It brings up into consciousness the deep psychological maladies associated with negative power games, possible abuse, possible harassment, in all the areas that we've discussed already. Now, okay, so it goes away a little bit, but Pluto is going to continue like a drumbeat that gets stronger and stronger and stronger over time, until it reaches the point where Pluto is touching Trump's Venus and Saturn at 23 degrees. So right now it's at 22. 23 is around the corner, and it's literally exact in April. So we're going to continue to have periodic intensification of the malfeasance involved with possible financial corrupt crimes as they relate to sex, as well as they relate to other areas that Pluto is involved in. And what is Pluto involved in? Death, taxes, insurance. So, interestingly enough, as recently came out, we had the possibility of insurance fraud, possibility of tax fraud. This is also an area where Pluto is increasing, intensifying its effort to bring to the fore the corruption associated with him. And for the rest of the people in the Trumpiverse, Dotard and company. And so I wanted to give you a couple of other dates to watch, and then end with what Venus and Pluto mean for Trump in his chart. So the dates we want to watch for is when Venus and Pluto come together again, exactly in 23 degrees. And that is going to happen on May 10th exactly. So I would say start looking for it around the 7th or 8th, and then it will continue around till about the 12th or 13th of May. Also, the planet Mercury, which is involved with news, communication, things like letters, emails, all forms of communication, comes to that exact 23 degree point from the 1st of May to the 4th of May. And the reason why I mentioned, and so that could connect to a lot of stories associated with the matters that we're talking about today. But the reason why I mentioned this sort of steady drumbeat is that the moon, which is the fastest moving planet in our astrological universe, is going to make a weekly contact to this very sensitive point at 23 degrees. And it was making a contact on February 22nd. It's going to make its next big contact March 2nd, March 8th, March 15th, March 22nd, March 29th, April 5th, April 12th, April 18th, April 25th, and then also on May 2nd, which fits in very well with the same time that Mercury comes up to that sensitive point of 23 degrees. So we would suspect to have a public airing or a public communication, because Mercury's communication, and the moon is connected to women, it's connected to the country, and it's connected to one's emotional state. And it often is around when something becomes public or becomes very much in the national discourse. So those are some of the timing elements that you might look for in the next couple of months. And I want to really end with what this means for Trump. He has Venus and Saturn together, which means that he has difficulty with love. He doesn't really know love's true nature. I think that's one of the great tragedies of his chart. So that if anyone ever has any problem praying for him, you can pray for that he knows, that he one day knows love. And with that, there will be a healing. Because he's never known unconditional love. He's never loved anybody unconditionally. And he just doesn't know the concept. And I think this is one of the reasons why politics and celebrity has been so fascinating for him, is because he's hungry for love. And he finds a form of love, it's not true love, from his adulating crowds, from his celebrity status. It allows him to make believe that people love him. And the other element of this Venus-Saturn placement in Cancer is that he very much has a questionable love relationship with members of his family. That could be with parents, that could be with children, and also with in-laws. And with Pluto, which is the most dangerous planet for Trump, and the reason why it creates the greatest threat for him. It moves very slowly. It's going to be around for a long, long, long time. It is in his placement of past lives. The fact that he's abused power in the past is probably pretty certain. He may have been the abuser more likely than to ever have been the victim, although he tends to play the victim, obviously. But so you would say that there's a malfeasance of being in a position of power before, abusing power before, and kind of if you believe in things like past lives, sort of a reboot of that. And also the same position is in the house placement of the secret enemy. So what does that mean? everyone has a secret enemy. Most of us, our secret enemies are in fact ourselves. So I would argue that Trump's greatest enemy, although he may have people who actually do launch a conspiracy against him, it's possible, amongst his own either supporters or Republicans or whatever, it is very possible with this position that happens. But he also is his own worst enemy. And so I think in terms of destruction, which Pluto symbolizes, death and rebirth, it is likely to be at his own hands, just as much as it is likely to be a conspiracy that he experiences from the outside. So that's it. Hope that was interesting, helpful.